Well, the Ebola outbreak in Sierra Leone is expected to decrease in the next few weeks, said the director of the Centers for Disease Control on Wednesday. More than half of the 18,000 confirmed cases of the virus have been diagnosed in Sierra Leone. However, CDC Director Tom Frieden urged people there not to compare the country's progress to that of its neighbour Liberia, but to learn from its successes in fighting the virus.
There is, I believe, a misconception about the differences between Liberia and Sierra Leone. If you look at the number of cases per week in Liberia and the number of cases per week in Sierra Leone, what happened in Monrovia 2 months ago, it's what's happening in Freetown and Western District today. It's not necessarily that the Sierra Leonean response is different or not as good. The disease is moving at a different pace in the different countries. But that gives Sierra Leone a unique opportunity, which is to learn from the challenges and the progress in Liberia to apply it here.
Well, to discuss this further, I'm now joined by Dr. Margaret Harris, the spokesperson on Ebola from the World Health Organization. She joins us live from Geneva. Dr. Harris, we've seen Sierra Leone introduce a tough new raft of measures. Where does the WHO stand on Sierra Leone's ban on festivities? And should the government's actions be replicated in other Ebola-affected countries?
What we're really not talking about is a ban on festivities. We're talking about trying to reduce movement of people in infected areas. And when you've got a virus raging through a community, it does make sense to try to ask people to travel less or stay at home, not move around, and not gather in large numbers. Ebola is a virus that simply takes no holiday, and you can't just say, okay, for 2 weeks we're going to do something different. As you can see with the Western area surge, they're really intensifying efforts to try to reduce infections, and ideally this kind of effort will improve the chances of a better holiday period for the people who don't get infected.
Now, is the WHO on track to achieve the targets it said earlier concerning the Ebola outbreak?
If you're referring to the targets that were set by the United Nations mission for the emergency Ebola response, and WHO is a part of that, yes, we are going in the right direction. The main targets we were looking at was getting everybody who dies from Ebola safely buried, and by that we mean that they're buried medically safely and hygienically and in a dignified manner as well. And we're seeing in all the infected countries that this is happening. There's been a huge increase in the number of burial teams and an enormous amount of effort to get this happening, and it is happening. The second big target we set was to identify all people who are infected and get them isolated and to treatment as quickly as possible. And as your excellent and interesting report just showed us, there's a huge effort now going on in Sierra Leone to achieve this. It's very difficult work, but the efforts are increasing and we're seeing more success with this.
All right, so let's rope in now our Angelo Coppola. He is live in Monrovia. Angelo, we've just heard what the Sierra Leonean president has announced, a total ban on festivities and parties during this Christmas season and New Year's to mitigate the spread of Ebola. You're in Liberia, which is just next door. Are similar measures being taken ahead of this holiday season?
Panina, there are no plans to cancel Christmas yet, but are in an election period right now up until Saturday. So if the government were to make any kind of comment or announcement around any kind of festivities ban, they're probably not going to do it now because it doesn't make sense from a political point of view. But nothing points to any kind of a discussion around this topic. However, you do need to remember that we still have the beach ban in place, which means people can't congregate on the beaches. They actually banned, the citizens are banned from going onto the beaches at any point. And this goes back to the Tubman Day celebrations that happened on the 29th of November. We also have a ban on any street parades for electioneering purposes. That's in place until Saturday. So there are those two measures in place, and they seem to have been keeping people, in a sense, under control. Yeah?
All right, Angelo, thanks very much for joining us. Angelo Coppola live for us from Monrovia, and Dr. Margaret Harris live from Geneva. Thank you as well.